Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
Very often we start from the idea that people who are in poverty either aren't working or don't want to work.
The push for new rules about food stamps.
But what that does is it helps to depress investment.
A warning from the Attorney General not to rock the boat.
To have a look behind the curtains is really incredibly important.
How a governor's legacy will teach future generations. Hi, everyone. I'm Andre Morrow. More on those stories in a moment, but right now, on this week's edition of SWI, we have an update on that weather disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's good news. It is not expected to develop as it moves into lower Texas, so you can scratch that one off. As always, we will keep our eyes on the tropics. Now, other stories making headlines across the state. The state sent 100 emergency personnel to the Carolinas to help with the Hurricane Florence disaster. Emergency preparedness teams will offer support to North and South Carolina's storm response efforts. Also, emergency crews from New Orleans Fire sent help, and the state fire marshal's office sent a team for water search and rescue and one for urban search and rescue efforts.
We've learned that the lesson over and over. We put a lot of emphasis on the first responders to be there as soon as they can, but most people are literally saved by neighbors after a disaster. And we've highlighted that, and in many cases we have organizations now like the Cajun Navy who pool their resources. They're all volunteers. They're not sponsored by the government. As we speak, we have the Cajun Navy in North and South Carolina prepared to go in and start rescuing people.
Governor John Bel Edwards awarded more than $41 million to 6 coastal parishes for flood resilience improvement projects. The innovative LA Safe works to create and implement adaptations for ongoing coastal land loss and rising seas. Jefferson, Lafourche, Plaquemine, Terrebonne, St. John the Baptist, and St. Tammany are the parishes getting the proactive help. A court decision is giving environmental advocates a flicker of hope in their battle with builders of the Bayou Bridge pipeline. The builders agreed to stay off some disputed St. Martin Parish land, but say it won't slow their work and still expect the pipeline to be finished next month. The Bayou Bridge is designed to carry crude oil 162 miles from Lake Charles to St. James. The petrochemical establishment heralds it as a safe industrial boon, while conservation groups have fought a mostly losing battle to keep it from happening. Former softball players at UL Lafayette are pressing ahead with complaints of gender discrimination at the university. A lawyer representing the 9 former players is saying this week that a lawsuit is certain unless the school, quote, changes a culture of discrimination and stops retaliating against women who bring it to their attention, end quote. The lawyer has been hired to press their discrimination claims through civil rights complaints filed with the U.S. Department of Education. The university disputes the allegations and says it has been fully compliant with the law. UL Lafayette officials say gender equality is a pillar of its core values. The mayor of Kenner, who banned all Nike products from city rec centers after the brand hired controversial quarterback Colin Kaepernick, has backtracked now after blowback from the community and his lawyer. Mayor Ben Zahn had planned to prohibit the purchase of Nike products for the use at recreation facilities. And Attorney General Jeff Landry this week is warning local state leaders that challenging big oil and energy over climate change could cost the state jobs. He says lawsuits filed by local governments to recoup environmental costs could cause trouble to our economy even when they fail or get thrown out.
These suits pop up around the country. It was very interesting that the first one popped up in San Francisco, in New York, very liberal hotbeds of big believers in climate change, and that oil and gas companies are the ones causing the so-called climate change. We've seen the suit in California summarily dismissed, but what that does is it helps to depress investment. It hurts job creation. Look, the oil and gas industry and energy industry has been great for Louisiana. It has probably been the biggest builder of the middle class in this state. And so what we're doing is saying, listen, those are not the kind of suits we want to see in the state of Louisiana, because again, they've been found to have no merit, they're baseless, and all they do is help to depress economic opportunity in the state.
No Louisiana city has filed a similar lawsuit, though there were a number of suits that eventually drowned in a sea of legal red tape a couple of years ago. The possible exception, though, might be New Orleans. Leaders there at least considering the idea last year, citing climate change among the city's biggest threats. Next Friday, a spotlight will shine on a big gala honoring former Governor Kathleen Blanco. The University of Louisiana at Lafayette will host the event to celebrate the launch of the Kathleen Babineau Blanco Public Policy Center. The center will examine issues central to the former governor's tenure and long political career. In the heart of ragin' Cajun country, on the campus of UL Lafayette, a transformation is about to begin, tucked away on the third floor of the Dupree Library. The space is large, and it's kind of like that unfinished bonus room, never been used, waiting for the right thing to come. Now that has happened. The space will become home of the Kathleen Babineau Blanco Public Policy Center. Take a look at this architect's rendering. From blank canvas to showplace, from isolated and unused to a center of learning and discourse. These many dozens of boxes store her papers, many of which will be available at the center. Its mission is to give policymakers and the public information that can help improve lives and communities in our state. Blanco tells me it will be a voice of reason.
It's going to be a treasure for the state of Louisiana. I think the university will really shine because it's going to do such a wonderful job.
The vision of the Blanco Center is to take advantage of some of the research that we already have going on at the university and bring in new resources to create a public policy center that will build on her vision of improving the lives of real Louisianians.
The areas of greatest focus that highlighted her political career will be the areas of focus of the center.
Criminal justice reform, poverty, education, healthcare, women in politics, and governmental ethics.
As you think of Kathleen Blanco, what comes to mind?
Compassionate, conservative, cautious, caring. There are a lot of those words to describe Kathleen and capture her. She's a complicated person, and she reflects Louisiana very well. She appealed to the common cause, the common good, and I think that's one thing about her legacy that will be reflected in this center, is this center, as I understand it, will reach out and appeal to people of all political stripes, and that's very much in the tradition of Kathleen Blanco.
The information available at the center, Blanco believes, will give insight often never seen. That's because such documents between administrations are often shredded, and Blanco says the day in, day out of governing is lost.
And I just decided that the Katrina Rita era was so transformative for Louisiana citizens and for Louisiana government that it would be worthwhile to just preserve all of the work that had been done by these really dedicated people and myself, and just so everybody could see that all we were doing every step of the way was looking for the good for the greatest number of people, and that we put our hearts and soul into that.
It's clear she still bears scars caused by Katrina. And how could she not? Like so many others, chaos suddenly became the norm for her and for the state she was trying to save.
I trust it. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not afraid of it. I think that it's going to be great for historians to pour through it. Undoubtedly, everybody remembers the criticism that President Bush got and I got and the mayor got and all of the leadership. We all got beat up to some degree. And at the time, I told my people to quit fighting it. I said, let it be. We're wasting energy that we need to be saving lives. Quit fighting, we're out of the war. And they said, but they're going to destroy your reputation. And I said, history will tell a different story. I know that because the truth always prevails. This is going to help the truth to prevail.
She says she did the best she could and tackled problems one by one. One took place in an Oval Office showdown.
They were willing to let us hang out and blame us for everything. It was as though Louisiana was to blame for the hurricane. And it made no sense. And I grew to hating going over there because I had to fight for my people every single time I went. But I won. I was fighting for money, for billions of dollars, and they didn't want to give it up. And I went to the president's office. I said, you've got to help me get $4 billion more on top of what the original allotment was. They didn't really want to help me, but, I had to do a little maneuvering and a little threatening to go to war, whatever.
Just that.
It just worked. Just put it to you that way.
It's so interesting. You stuck to your guns, of course, always.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting that you had the faith to believe and know that you were called to be in that position. It takes someone with great faith who's really listening to be tuned in to even think that.
I was blessed and chosen to lead at probably Louisiana's most difficult time. Now, when I was swimming in those waters, almost literally swimming in those difficult waters, I didn't feel so blessed.
Yeah.
I have to be honest about that. But when you understand your destiny for each of us, we all each have destinies. Where are we going to be at what period in history, and what are we going to confront, and how are we going to deal with it? And so when I think about where God placed me, right in the way of the most terrible storms ever to hit this nation, and so many people so painfully injured, I know that I was the right person at the right time because God made that decision. I certainly didn't make it.
Her faith has grown during her ongoing public battle with cancer. She says a rare eye cancer that was treated years ago has now invaded her liver. But treatment, at least on this day, has given her a reprieve.
Ironically, I'm feeling great, but I'm going to meet a disaster down the road, and I'll probably hit the wall in a few months. But for the time being, I'm feeling great, and it's kind of hard to believe that that it's going to get complicated for me pretty soon.
In the meantime, she lives life to the fullest and has an integral role in shaping the public policy center that will bear her name.
I think it's interesting that you have such a organized public policy record and that you have all your papers and documents in order that people can learn from and they can know what everything was like.
I think, first of all, information is powerful, and to have a look behind the curtains is really incredibly important. People will get to see that, how that process unfolded, and I think it will enlighten them. And sometimes government is like making sausage, and you don't want to see it, and sometimes it makes a lot of sense. And I think that my administration will make a lot of sense.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blanco, for letting us speak with you. We certainly enjoyed it. By the way, the launch celebration happens Friday, September 21st. It's known as the Legacy Gala. Proceeds will benefit the $2.7 million project to build the center. The College of Liberal Arts and Library at ULL have collaborated in the creation of this Blanco Center. D.C. lawmakers are in the final weeks of negotiation on the 2018 Farm Bill. It has to pass by the end of the month. Those in the agriculture sector are not the only ones watching this. LPB's Kelly Spires is here to bring us up to speed on what the bill could mean for those who receive food stamps. Kelly?
Thank you, Andre. Federal laws about food stamps are located in the Farm Bill. House members want new rules that they say will put food stamp recipients to work. But food stamps already require work, and Louisiana has even more rules on top of federal regulations.
There are common misconceptions when it comes to food stamps.
When we talk about work requirements, very often we start from the idea that people who are in poverty either aren't working or don't want to work. And in fact, that's not the case. When we look at SNAP, for example, or food stamps, over 80% of food stamp recipients who can work do work.
That's 3/4 of families in Louisiana. Danny Mintz recently joined the policy research group Louisiana Budget Project as an anti-hunger advocate. Before that, he directed the food studies program at Loyola University.
In fact, many of these individuals are on food stamps because their job either doesn't pay a wage that's high enough for their family to make above the minimum income level that would allow them to go out of the program.
First, what work requirements are currently in place? Nationwide, you can receive food stamps for only 3 months in a 3-year period if you do not work. If you are between 18 and 49 and you do not have dependents, you have to work at least 20 hours a week, be in school or a training program, or meet that requirement in another way. State-level caseworkers are probably checking in every 3 to 6 months to make sure you're doing that.
Currently, under federal law, if you're able-bodied and an adult and you don't have a dependent, that is, you don't have somebody under 18 years old who you're taking care of, then you're limited to 3 months out of every 3 years that you can access SNAP unless you're working at least 20 hours a week or participating in one of the other programs that can fulfill that requirement.
What House members want to change is that every month you'd have to prove you worked 20 hours a week or fulfilled that requirement in another way. They'd require this stricter threshold at risk of losing benefits, even if there's a child in the home over 6.
So if, for example, somebody is working half-time at a restaurant and their shifts are generally around 20 hours a week, but in the last week of the month, there's a dip in business and their employer says, we only need you for 10 this week, then they would fall out of compliance with the federal work requirement and would lose access to food assistance for a full year on their first sanction. On a second sanction, they would lose access to food stamps for 3 years.
Mintz says this creates a need for more government workers to manage cases and other unexpected expenses on the state level.
So what the House proposal does is reroute food assistance money that would put food on the table of families who don't make enough to cover food and other expenses, and route that instead into the creation of a new bureaucracy that would verify that they're working the hours that they say they are.
So what makes a work requirement program successful? Putting people to work, right?
What we would look for in evaluating work requirements is how many people, when finishing either when subject to a work requirement or when finishing an education and training program, are connected with employment that's durable, with employment that lifts them out of poverty, and with employment that that offers them and their families stability.
There's a national study underway to see if the current requirements are effective. In the meantime, we can look at other programs.
Initially, after the welfare reform push in '96, there was a lot of data that seemed somewhat hopeful that work requirements did boost large populations out of poverty. When that data was tracked about 5 years out, what we found was that those initial gains didn't tend to last, and often many families who were subject to work requirements remained as poor or poorer than they were before the work requirements were initiated.
That's because often the jobs they find are not the jobs that bring them out of poverty. They pay a minimum wage.
We often think about work as something that provides income and neglect the costs that work incurs. 30% nationally of families on food stamps are headed by a single working mother.
Those costs include childcare and transportation, so often the less fortunate are even worse off if they're working full-time versus working part-time and receiving SNAP benefits.
If you have a job that pays roughly the same, that gives you roughly the same total income that you would have had when you were working perhaps part-time or not working and receiving federal assistance, but with that job you have increased childcare costs and increased transportation costs, often the family's overall economic situation remained the same, or in that particular instance would have been poorer.
Programs that are effective with support structures require a lot of resources.
More frequently, the effect of work requirements is to, and that is particularly when work requirements are not paired with guaranteed work spots, the effect is less to connect people with work that lifts them above the eligibility threshold and more to kick people off of assistance programs.
These added layers detract from the original intent of the program, Mint says.
The premise of food stamps from the program's inception was that no one in America should go hungry. And that is not that no one who's working in America should go hungry. We're a nation that can afford to support our population, at least to the extent of making sure that their minimum basic needs are met.
A little more about Louisiana's program. For over 20 years, states have been able to ask for waivers for work requirements if jobs are scarce. Louisiana has a special waiver where able-bodied adults without dependents can participate in job training programs and other programs in order to remain eligible.
So much information there, Kelly. Thank you. We are celebrating an anniversary here at LPB. This news magazine broadcast that you're watching, Louisiana, the state we're in, or SWI, is beginning its 42nd year. Now, our goal all along is to deliver Louisiana news that impacts you, news that can enlighten and entertain you. Now, as the acknowledged leader in covering our state legislature, we look past the politics to explain how what happens in the chambers of the state legislature and the state capitol will affect each of us in Louisiana. You'll learn about Louisiana leaders, features that are uniquely our own, history, and what's happening today that shapes who we are. Now, we want to take a look back as we dig into our archives at that first broadcast of the state we're in back in 1976.
With Public Affairs Director Beth George.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on this first edition of Louisiana, the state we're in. Tonight we examine with our guests and on film the state prison at Angola.
That, of course, LPB President Beth George Courtney, anchor of that first broadcast and anchor for many years, someone who has been a fixture here at LPB and our president, and something amazing to think of. 42 years, this program.
It's hard to believe, and certainly looking at large glasses and the strange set we had, some things are the same, some things change, but what has remained the same is our commitment to tell stories that are important. And I still look at that first story was about Angola, and certainly criminal justice is in the news right now.
It certainly is.
And Public Square, our topic on how we are adjusting things in the criminal justice system, is there today, and it's been a good ride, and I'm not through yet.
Yeah,
so.
it's one of those things, though, is the more things change, they say the same, I guess.
Yes.
So some of that coverage will continue. We'll be here for that, though. Thanks so much, Beth. We thank you also for watching with us and making LPB a part of your lives. As the summer comes to a close, we end our program with a look at some of the natural beauty Louisiana has to offer. In Louisiana Postcards, videographer Rex Q. Fortenberry takes us to the gardens at LSU's Burden Center in Baton Rouge. a place of beauty and calm. And that's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows and other Louisiana programs that you've come to enjoy over the years. And please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.